Broadcasting live from sunny South Florida, this is KMA Talk Radio. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of fine cigars. Your KMA crew, the Italian Scallion, Paul DeGracco, Alex Tavella, a.k.a. The Goat, and always telling it like it is, Honest Abe.
I like to smoke them like the Winston Churchill, like John Kennedy, yeah. Remember Coach Red Auerbach, smoked up for victory, yeah. Well, you can take my wife, you can take my car, but you can't take my big cigar. My cigar.
Good morning, folks. I am your host, The Goat, here for our KMA Year in Review episode. Joining me, I have my good friend and trusty cohort, William the Scoop with Coop. Cooper. Coop, what's going on?
Good morning, Alex. I guess we're going to have to hold down the fort today.
Yeah, now listen, I don't know where anybody's at. Abe wasn't feeling well. He said he was coming on. Maybe he'll pop in. Fortunately, we have some...
Yeah, we'll
have some time, but we have some special guests, fortunately, so everybody doesn't have to sit here and listen to you and I talk about Philadelphia sports and music. So we do have a show for you folks. Don't tune out.
No, definitely not. A really good one today. We've been kind of putting this one up with the year in review. Yeah,
we got some good topics, some things to talk about, some special guests. Let's get these guys in. Let's chat with them a little bit before we get started.
Yep.
So first, we have our friend Garret Robinson from How About That Cigar, who's currently in his car somewhere between Barstow and the edge of the desert. What's up, brother?
Absolutely. Good morning. How you gentlemen doing?
We're here, man. We're here.
Man. Now, I got to ask, have you been driving all night, or did you stop?
No. So, yeah, I drove into Chicago yesterday. I've got an event tomorrow that I'm doing at a new shop on the south side of Chicago, and stayed here last night. And apparently, I don't know how time zones work. So,
well, don't feel bad. I had that same problem when I was out your way last month. So,
fortunately, I'm a guy that rarely leaves the Eastern time zone, so I tend to not have that problem. Fortunately.
Yeah. But when you do leave it, it's tough.
Oh, yeah, it's tough. It takes some getting used to. Also joining us, coming fresh off a sickness, having his first cigar since that sickness, is our good friend Matt Tabacco from the Smokin Tobacco Show.
What's going on, guys? How are you?
How you feeling?
I still don't feel great, but I feel better than I did on Sunday and Monday. I thought I was going to die.
Are you smoking today?
I am. I'm smoking All Saints St. Francis Colorado Churchill, one of my favorite cigars. So.
All right, so here's the question. Should you be smoking today? Because us being who we are and being in this industry, we're all pigs and probably go a day or two earlier than we should.
Yep.
Yeah.
So realistically, you think you're good?
I think I'm good. The only thing that I will say is I feel like my palate is still messed up because I know how good this cigar tastes, and it tastes very weird to me. So I don't know.
I had the same thing, Matt. Yeah, when I had it. Yeah.
I think my palate is still messed up, but everything else is fine. It's also the first one I've had in over a week. So
yeah,
I don't know. It's very strange. Maybe it'll go away as I go. I don't know. But other than that, I'm good to go. I'm ready to roll.
You see, that's the killer because what that means is technically you should probably wait, but us being us, we can't wait. Because if you wait, right, after a good sick or whatever, that first cigar after a week of no cigars is like, you jumped the gun a little bit. Yeah, you still, like you said, you still don't get the taste is off a little bit, but that first one after a good couple of days, it makes all the difference to me. Ooh, we had an Abe sighting in the background, and then he disappeared. So he's trying to get in.
Okay, that's good.
All right, listen, first things first, before we get to our 2022 year in review, is I got to get some Super Bowl picks, and what that will tell me who stays on the show and who gets booted.
I knew this was coming, and this is very tough for me because I love the two guys up top. Well, I love all of you. Garret, you know how much I love you too. But the two guys who I know are going for Philly, I love you very much. So as a friend, I want I want to be an Eagles supporter for you two, but my gut's telling me like go with the Chiefs, and I'm very torn because I don't know.
So what's telling you go with the Chiefs?
I really like Mahomes, man. I think he's got this. Him and Andy Reid facing off against the Eagles. I think he gets his retribution. He's got Mahomes, the next big thing.
He's got a banged up Mahomes.
Yeah, yep. But I think Mahomes is a tough kid. I think he's got 2 weeks, maybe a little bit of rest there, get a little bit better, and get his shit together. Prepare. I don't know. I just got this good feeling. But either way, I won't be angry because at least if they do lose and the Philly wins, I'll be happy for you, gentlemen.
You'll be happy for your friends.
Yes, I will. Hey, when the Phillies were in the World Series, who did I cheer for?
You did, absolutely.
You did.
Listen, with all due respect, that's easy. Unless you're from Houston, Texas, nobody else is rooting for the Astros.
Yeah.
Garret, who you got?
So I think this is going to be a boring Super Bowl. That's my prediction.
Really?
Like 53, all defense, very little scoring.
That was a great Super Bowl.
I wouldn't be shocked to see 13-10.
Yeah.
Really?
At the Super Bowl.
I'm shocked.
Yeah, I mean, these are two teams that can put numbers on the board.
Yeah, I anticipate
they can, but both teams have defenses.
Yeah.
And I think it'll come up to which coach is going to put together the more bold plan. So my prediction is 13-10. Who wins? My brain says Philly. My heart says Kansas City.
Your heart says Kansas City.
Yeah. Because like Matt, dude, and I gotta say, these two quarterbacks are unbelievable. Jalen Hurts, I mean, what a rock star. And then obviously our guy Mahomes. So we are going to watch two amazing young quarterbacks. That is guaranteed. I think this game is all about defense and who can stop it.
All right, well, there we have it, Coop. No love. Let's see if maybe we can get a little love from Abe, who's joined us.
There he is.
What's happening?
Good morning.
Good morning, genitalia.
How you feeling?
I'm alive, man. Had a rough evening. I think I digested some stuff that didn't quite agree with me last night.
Oh, ouch.
I don't know. I feel like I gave you guys my stomach bug virtually.
You probably did.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I had it a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
Literally. So you guys talking about Phillies football talk?
Yeah, we're talking about Eagles Chiefs. Big Super Bowl coming up Sunday.
I'm just curious. Is this like the first podcast ever where someone's doing it while driving?
No,
we've had a couple of guests driving on.
We did the road to the Super Bowl a few years ago with Carney.
We've had I don't know. We had I think we had Tommy Z, but he was parked in like a Dunkin' Donuts parking lot for 2 hours.
Skip
We did it with Herklots. We did it with Herklots, and Carney was on the road. He had his ring lights in the car, and he had his camera all set up, and he was on his way. It was the Super Bowl that Brady won with the Bucks. Was that 2020? Was that 55? Which one was that? A couple years ago?
55.
That one. Yeah, we did that one on the road. That was quite a sight.
So what I'm hearing is I'm the first real guest to be in the car.
There it is.
Yeah, there it is.
There it is.
And driving, moving.
I feel like I'm watching that '70s show, and it's the car scenes, like with Ashton Kutcher, with right. It's just surreal.
That's actually just a green screen background. You got Garret.
Dude, you know what would be funny? Someone really should do it. They should set up a green screen in the garage and act like they're doing a podcast while driving, but then just have the wildest shit go back in the background and see how long before somebody catches it, right?
Right, like dinosaurs and shit.
Yeah. Strip. All of a sudden, you're on the Vegas Strip, and just see how long it goes before someone's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah,
that would be hilarious. Oh my gosh!
It's like the opposite of that guy who makes those videos. I don't know if you guys have seen that. He walks around with the laptop mounted to his chest.
Oh yeah.
And he pretends like he's in the office, but he's like on the golf course. And he's like in a business meeting.
Right. At the Ravens game or whatever. Well, we're here to talk about the biggest stories from 2022. Fairly eventful year. I'd say it's a pretty good year in the cigar industry. But let's get started. Let's start with one of the bigger splashes last year. Mainstream celebrities in the cigar industry. We had the introduction of Guy Fieri with Erik Espinosa, and also the Metallica crew with Drew Estate. So, what are you guys' thoughts on that? Let's start with Matt.
Well, first of all, I thought the Metallica one was good. A little bit of a shocker. I saw that, and I was like, oh damn, Metallica. I know Carney was excited because he loves Metallica. Several other people I know who are Metallica people were very excited. But I think the biggest splash was definitely the guy. And I know Garret had to correct me on one of the last episodes. Apparently it's Fieri. It's not Fieri. As everyone knows, I'm bad with my pronunciation. But don't worry, Garret. I learned. The knuckle sandwich. The knuckle sandwich release. Honestly, I thought was the biggest thing last year, specifically with the celebrity stuff. I thought that it was executed well. The cigars were great. I know Coop and I have talked about this on other shows where there's a historical reputation with some of these releases, right? Where celebrity cigars come out and it's just kind of a flash in the pan. It's so and so cigar, yay. But the cigars either don't perform well, it just doesn't pick up traction. This particular release, they performed well. They've already expanded it to other, extensions. There's the Connecticut now. There's the 55 limited. There was the Chef Special for PCA. All of which I've smoked most of them, not all of them, but even the ones I haven't, I've heard great things about. Getting a lot of attention, really promoted well. I know that whole crew was down at the Great Smoke last year at the trade show. Getting a lot of coverage. We gave Hector Espinosa Mandy the Year award for his part in blending all those cigars and whatnot. So I think that one was probably the biggest thing. If you want to talk about celebrities and cigars, I think that was the biggest splash of 2022.
Yeah, and I just want to add on to this. I want to get you guys' perspective on how this compares to past attempts, because there has been attempts in the past, and I know a lot of it is just slapping a name on it, but it seems like these guys have really dug in.
Alex, I think a lot of this comes down to that Espinosa does have a mature distribution in terms of they have a sales force. They have obviously distribution of these cigars and they're able to get them out. I know Rocky had it with some of his sports stars, but they were very localized as far as the appeal of those go. But when Armand Asante got into it, he had a great cigar, but he didn't have the distribution there. So he didn't have the marketing. Erik Espinosa has a marketing arm too. So I think a lot had to do with that. You can always give a great cigar to a celebrity, but actually getting it out to the masses is the tougher part.
Speaking of Armand Asante, last I heard he was working something with Plasencia. I've seen nothing.
Right.
Heard nothing. Listen, I know Armand. Armand, we actually talked about projects together. Armand's just one of these guys that gets hot on something and then he's just gone. So I don't know if that project just got dead in the water and he's not gone other than anything. The guy's a busy dude.
Yeah.
I'm sure making a cigar is like number 423rd on his daily list of tasks. work on. But has anybody heard anything about that project?
I'm due to follow up with him because I did interview him in 2021, and I'm kind of just curious about. I know he switched some PR firms because I did try to reach out to him last year, so I have the other firm now, and I'm going to try to give them.
Oh, you don't have his personal cell, Coop? I'm sorry.
Coop's got
I have his personal email. I have his personal email, but not his cell. Okay. Yeah. But I usually try to go through the proper channels with that too. So before, and if I don't get through the proper channels, then I can kind of call that email out. Yeah.
Oh man.
So going back to the Guy Fieri and the Blackened, which is really James Hetfield from Metallica.
Good point.
I think it is clear that the Knuckle Sandwich is the success story, because not only was Guy Fieri, he was out there, he was at events, he was obviously at the Great Smoke, he was at PCA, he was putting in the work.
He was just at a shop in Arizona. It's been over a year,
Yeah.
and he's still showing up in cigar shops.
Yep. I was shocked Espinosa even put that picture up, because you know what happens when you put a picture up like that. Then everyone's gonna call them wanting an event with him.
I don't think. Listen, you cannot not do that because of that.
I know.
Yes.
Yeah, no, you're right.
You cannot not do that because of that.
But they
You
have.
know?
I know they have tried to
Right.
keep others low key. That's why I was surprised.
You know, it's it defeats the purpose of having a guy like Guy Fieri.
I agree with you on that.
Listen, retailers are always petty. It's
Yeah.
one of the things. It's one of the few things I really dislike about this industry. They will spend more time crying and bitching about something instead of figuring out, hey, well, what do I need to do something? You know, and you know, I'll never forget when we did our first project with Padron. It wasn't the SI-15? Maybe it was the SI-15. Yeah, so that was our first one with him. So when we did the SI-15 with Padron, he was at the shop. We had the event, and he was talking about it. And he's like, "Look, we don't do this all the time. You know, there's a handful of people that our family has done. And this is back then. I'm pretty sure they've done a lot more since then. But I think at the time he said like this is the third or fourth time we've ever done this, and people get mad, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
You know, we have special relations with people and get it, and you know, other retailers get bent. There are retailers out there who've done stuff and projects with manufacturers, whatever, and we didn't get a chance to. A very smart businessman once told me when I was younger, and it always stuck with me. You can't be at everybody's wedding. You know, you just can't have everything and be part of everything, you know? But no, man, if I was Erik, I'd be plastering every time Guy is at a cigar shop. I don't care what shop it is, holding a cigar. It should be out there. It's not just good for him, it's good for the industry.
Well, I think
Because
here's the problem. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, because how many celebrities have we seen that do just that and put their name on a band? They were not involved in the project whatsoever, and they're putting out this cigar. The one that hurts me the most is the cigar Nas put out.
Oh, the what's that? Escobar cigar?
Yeah. Bro, so number one, Nas is one of the greatest MCs of all time. As a young kid, he helped transform my understanding of hip hop, and you know, I had him way up here. And then the cigar sucked, and that was a disappointment, and you never saw him promoting that cigar. So I feel like Guy has really set the bar high for what a celebrity involved cigar project looks like.
So just to fill Abe in on what we're talking about, Steve Hernandez actually tried to get us to bring in that cigar. And,
oh, really?
Yeah. Unfortunately, had no support. But I think it remains to be seen on Hetfield, because there's a bigger problem. There's no Blackened to be had. We have zero. We have zero and can't get any. None in the store, none online.
This is a
zero.
So this is a Drew Estate major. there's a lot of changes going on internally at Drew Estate, like
Yeah.
mind-boggling, like a mind-boggling amount of changes.
Yep.
And there's an internal and obvious disconnect, like major, between their production and their marketing teams. They're not aligned. Marketing is going out doing a job as if they have no idea what production is doing. So they invest all this time in the freestyle lives and hyping it up and getting everybody all excited about shit and this and that. And then when it comes time to launch the brand, guess what? There's no cigars. You can't launch a brand sending your top retailers in the country 10 boxes of cigars.
Yeah, so to put it in perspective, when Guy was coming to the Great Smoke and Knuckle Sandwich was making a splash, I think we got what, 100 boxes, Abe? Just to be there for Guy to sign outside. I mean, yeah, I mean it was there, it was able to get. When Blackened hit, we got 14 total boxes. Total.
No, Erik got us more than 100 boxes. He did because we did multiple SKUs.
Right.
You know,
right.
Yeah, you got to give Espinosa credit on that for having the product ready for this. On top of that, so,
Because you got the marketing guy who's in the production.
Right.
These guys are disconnected. Marketing is not listening to production because you don't waste your time coming out with a freestyle live unless you're ready to flood the market with your product. Otherwise, you're just wasting everything. So what's happening is you create all this hype, 20-acre farm, all this hype, whatever. No one can get it. Underground 10, same shit. And they get to the next freestyle live, showing the next brand, and that product now is starting to trickle in. They've already lost it.
Right. We had the same issue with Nika Rustica Adobe.
Yeah, Adobe.
We got it. We had it. Couldn't get it, and they were doing another freestyle live with Blackened before we could even get Adobe.
Yeah, and you think anybody's going back to that brand? They lost all that momentum. You know, there's a major disconnect going on there, and I really hope they rectify it because it makes lives for us. I mean, listen, I imagine their sales team is just going bonkers, right? Because you got the marketing, you got production, and you got the sales trying to do it all, and they can't do shit. So, but it's making life for retailers impossible. You know, it really is, and it's frustrating consumers.
Abe, and even kind of add on to your point, I mean, you guys are a significant size retailer too. What about the small, real small mom and pop retailers, you know, that don't have multiple stores that get even less allocations? And
you want to know what, Matt? As a guy who was a small retailer, it's a catch-22. It's easier for them. So let me give you an example. When I'm a small retailer and you send me 3 boxes of shit, I can make a lot of people happy with 3 boxes of shit.
Right.
Yeah.
3 boxes of shit doesn't make my staff happy. You know, I mean, if something's hot, to get 40, 50 boxes is like the equivalent of a small retailer getting 3 or 4. So in some instances, it's actually easier for them in shit like this than, you know, I mean, look, we get Opus every year during the allocated drops, right? And I remember my early days when I had like 1 or 2 location, man, getting Opus was like, fuck, rent paid, electric paid. I mean, this was like payday. You know, it was like such a major thing. We get on the phone, it's here, people come in. You know, I don't even look at it. I don't even know when Opus comes and goes anymore. It's like 0.000001 of our annual business. So, you know, it's because I'm never going to get enough to have an impact at this point. So when you're smaller, actually you're less affected by this kind of shit than if you're bigger. That's the catch-22. You'd think it's the opposite, but it's not. 3 or 4 boxes goes way further for a small guy than 10. Because look, they send a small account 3 or 4 boxes. They send us 15. It's not scale. It's not even the same perspective. That's like sending me 1. So sometimes it's easier on those guys.
Good point.
Yeah, that makes sense. Let me ask you guys this: outside of Guy and Blackened, which the jury's out on, what do you think has been the most successful celebrity tied cigar
prior to this?
Yeah,
Big Poppy.
No. You think Big Poppy did better than Ray Lewis?
I was going to say Ray Lewis, at least for us.
No,
Okay.
That brand, I can't believe it's still being sold, and people are buying it and look for it.
But what's interesting is it really has no help from Ray Lewis.
Minimal. He's done the Great Smoke twice. Because he's
early on.
He's local for us. But this guy doesn't want to travel the country. This guy's not doing stuff for it. But, for me, I think that one's the one that endured. I think that one has probably been the best. I mean, you can't count the boom because like Hamilton had a brand out during the boom. I don't know if any of you youngins can remember that far back. Coop, maybe. Coop, you remember George Hamilton cigar? But, during the boom, you could have sold anything. So it really didn't count. But it died after the boom. You know what I'm saying? But he had a hot brand for a while.
Coop, you're muted.
Yeah, no, I was agreeing with Abe.
He had a hot brand for a while. And then you had Pussy. And then you had, who else? Frankie. The other mobster guy.
Vito? Joey?
Vito.
No, that was another one. Frankie, the guy that Joe Pesci beats
Frank
down.
Vincent?
Huh?
Frank
Frank
Vincent?
Vincent.
Yeah, he had a cigar. Frank Vincent had a cigar. Because he had a cigar. Ganascoli had a cigar.
He was at Arganese for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But historically, it doesn't pan out because sometimes it's just not even the product. I just don't think it translates well to the consumers. I don't think throwing a name on it connects them directly. I think what's going on with Guy Fieri is that it's just transparent to everybody. This guy just didn't sell his rights and somebody made a cigar. He is involved. And I know he's involved because sometimes he's driving Erik crazy. You know what I'm saying? And what's even kind of more odd is what the cigar's been out for less than a year?
About a year this month. Yeah, about a year.
Yeah, just over a year. Like the Great Smoke is when we first dropped it.
Mm-hmm.
They already had 2 other renditions of it in 12 months.
Yep.
Chef Selection and 55.
And
so
Connecticut.
55.
In Connecticut, sorry, yeah, that's right. In Connecticut's great. It's great. So I think it's resonating with the consumer base, and it's apparent that this isn't a celebrity deal. And I think that's why it'll be successful. I think they feel it because at the end of the day, we're savvy. We see through the farce of, hey, man, somebody paid me for my name. I made a few bucks, and I don't give a shit what happens after that. And they know there's no real involvement with the cigar. And I think when people follow or are smoking knuckle sandwich, they're feeling like they're really enjoying or smoking something that really is a reflection of Guy himself. And I think that resonates with people.
There was another celebrity cigar that came out last year that I haven't heard since it first got mentioned, and that was the Jeremy Piven cigar.
There's another one.
Which was a good cigar.
But no involvement.
Made by Lucione. No.
But you had no involvement from either party with that one. Like,
Leon
didn't do anything with that cigar. Neither did Jeremy.
He did make a video for our Connoisseur Club. That was about the most involvement I saw, and he outed the fake Alan Rubin during a.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I remember that.
Yeah, so he gets credit for that.
But no, he was supposed to do a store event. It got canceled, and it got canceled because we heard he wasn't showing up for any of the events he was being scheduled for. And listen, nothing against Illusion or the cigar; it's a good cigar. But historically, I've heard nothing but bad things about him as a person.
Yeah, I've met him personally.
Yes,
I can attest to that. He's a
I've never heard a positive thing about him ever. It's always something very, very negative. So you can imagine trying to schedule events with a guy like this. Meanwhile, Guy is so pleasant and so open and wants to talk to people, and then like does a little thing like FaceTime my daughter from my office, and she says how much she loves him or whatever, and he tells her, "I'm going to bring you an autographed book." Right, and then shows up at the Great Smoke with that book to give my daughter. I mean, he's real, and I think
that's one thing you got to give credit to Guy. Listen, we may get a yes or no last minute, but if it's yes, he's going to be there.
Yeah,
there's never going to be this. I mean, we haven't had a yes, and it last minute turned into a no. I can't.
Yeah.
So credit to him for that.
Absolutely.
That's amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that. But that's a perfect example. Non-existent.
Right.
And here's the thing too, Matt. You're a consumer. You walk in the humidor. not knowing anything about it. Do you even know it's a Jeremy Piven cigar?
No.
No, you can't tell.
Can't identify it.
Yeah. Maybe, and oddly enough, I kind of almost think he wanted it that way. You know, that just sounds to me like it was a hobby project. You know, he smoked cigars. He knew Dion, hey, make me something, you know, I'm going to call it the Piv. And Dion like said, hey, do you mind if we put this out there? He's like, nah, go ahead. You know,
it was a good cigar. It was a good cigar. You're right, Alex. It was good.
It was a great cigar. But I think the problem is you had kind of a double whammy because, I mean, look, to me, Illusion makes some of the best cigars around. A marketing giant, they are not. You know, I don't think they've ever sold cigars based on their marketing. So you have a celebrity who's not really doing the marketing and a company who doesn't really focus on marketing. I know some of that has changed. Fred Rui's kind of getting in there and doing his thing. But at the time, you know, there was not much push behind the cigar.
Yeah, that was actually that project was before Fred got there too.
Right.
To be fair to Fred.
Yep, that's true.
Yeah.
So Chad, I know he did a couple of events, but he started building a track record of not showing up for scheduled events. And we were scheduled for an event with him, and they just called and started canceling it because it was becoming, I think, too problematic to schedule these events for retailers, and then this guy wouldn't show up.
Yeah.
Right.
Bad
So
business.
yeah, you know, look, shout out the guy, man. You know, he's putting the work in.
Right.
So.
And you got
You can see the success.
Yeah. The other thing I'll say about Guy is he has, when he had the opportunity, I'm not saying he's had the opportunity all the time, in the non-cigar mainstream, he's brought up Erik's name several times. I mean, there was that interview he did with, I think it was CBS, where he mentioned Erik. He referred to him as like the godfather of cigars. I don't know if that was the right name, but he still got Erik's name out there. You know, so I got to give Guy credit for. Again, it's not like he can go touting this every place all the time, but I think he's done his part on the other side too, which I'm impressed with.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right, so let's move on to our next topic, and this was a big one because this was a big question mark that turned out to be a huge splash. NFTs in the cigar world, and we saw the impact it had with LaFleur.
Yeah. We had a lot of talk on Coop shows about this all week too.
I know Coop was talking shit about me.
I didn't talk shit. I don't think I told you.
No, you didn't. I'm fucking with you.
With Pete, we talked about
No,
this.
no, you really didn't. I'm messing with you. No,
Okay,
you did.
okay.
No,
I questioned one thing.
I'm totally messing with you. But you did say that, well, you know, Abe might prove me wrong, and I recorded it. So if I do prove you wrong, I'm just going to blast it all over.
You will prove me wrong because I was very critical of some of the retailers, the way they've gotten out of the gate with this thing. And I know, Abe, that you won't get out of the gate like that. I'm telling you, I don't get gate.
Abe, sounds like this is an opportunity for a signed bill bet.
No, we have that one going already. We've doubled down on that
one. Doubled down on it. And Coop won't have to ask what the bet was this time because he knows he's in it.
Oh,
he always gets frustrated when he doesn't know what the bets are.
Fuente Padron gets released in 2023. Is the bet?
Let's just do a quick survey here. Matt, does it make it out this year?
Yeah.
Garret.
Yes.
Looks like Garret has arrived.
Is there anything behind those beliefs, or is it just like a gut feeling?
Well, I'll go. Well, we talked. I mean, Coop and I actually talked about this last weekend, and one of the big points that Coop brought up is next year Padron celebrates their 60th anniversary. So I'm going to assume that Padron's going to want this to be done so that way they can focus on Padron 60 next year.
Okay, so let me historically help you, little puppy boys.
Real quick though, Garret, have you arrived? You want to get yourself situated and hop back in?
Yes, sir. Let me do that. I'll be right back, guys.
All right, cool. No worries.
So there have been twice in Padron's history they celebrated their milestone anniversary the following year.
So it's interesting. The media guys seem to believe that it's happening.
The
guys who have to get product from these guys don't seem to be
so blatantly confident that it almost makes me wonder, like, is there something they know I don't? That's how. like, listen to me. I'm going to tell you what.
I don't have any info.
If you think that their 60th anniversary is on the chart or whatever as part of what's going to be signed factor, don't even waste your time. Okay, Padron and Fuente has multiple times celebrated anniversaries, not on the year of the anniversary. Okay, because they don't give a shit about that as much as being ready and doing it the way they want to do. But I'll give you this, and especially Fuente. They love to drop special shit around Christmas. So if you do win, I'm telling you this, it will be an under-the-wire win to get it out before Christmas.
First week of December shows up in shops.
But historically, my experience and my shit says that, and especially this one. So, if you had just Fuente doing this project, you'd almost have a better chance. Still, I'd still take the same bet. But throwing Padron in the mix is just like throwing sand in your gas tank. I mean, it just mucks everything up. When you're talking to them, listen to me. Let's just look logistically, right? These are guys who made a passionate decision before they thought it all out. Like, if I'm doing a project like this, it's all figured out before we even start making anything. At the trade show, they couldn't tell you who's selling it. They each had a different story as who was going to sell it and how it was going to get the public.
That is true. That is true.
I'm telling you.
They haven't taken an order yet. So let's.
Now, I'm going to tell you something else.
This is not going to be in order. This is allocated for sure.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that with these two companies, there's going to be legal documents, right? There's trademarks. There's intellectual property being used by both things. Man, those fucking lawyers are going to fuck shit up for a while. Listen, I'll be surprised. Like I said, I believe they'll make if it comes out this year, it'll definitely be an under the wire December, release. But otherwise, I don't see it happening this year. They got the trade show coming up. They're thinking about that. And the crazy thing is they got the trade show coming up. And like, what do you talk about? Everybody's still talking about that shit from the year before. But all too often, we've seen special stuff, especially when it's just Fuente at the trade show, and 2 years later, it comes out. All too often.
Well, we're on
Coop,
3 years since the announcement.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you banking on a trade show splash, Coop, or you think later?
I'm banking potentially a before trade show thing around Father's Day. That would be the first opportunity I can see. That would be the first opportunity.
That's soon.
Yeah.
You think it's going to drop for Father's Day?
Possibly. But I'm not going to bet you on that one, Abe. I mean, that one I'm not going to bet you on. It could be also part of the October release cycle that you see these companies do a lot of. But I believe it's dropping this year. I believe both companies want to get this done with at this point.
No, Chad, I don't believe the cigars are made yet.
No, because we saw there was a tasting event, or there's a tasting event happening where they're smoking prototypes of the cigar. If I remember,
yeah, they're calling it prototypes. You don't know if they're going to be banded even or not. Those cigars. So.
Let me just tell you something. This is totally a Marvin Shankin fucking fish, and I'm surprised they even agreed to this. This is a guy so desperate to try to create any kind of excitement, because why would you? You got this probably one of the most historic cigars to happen in our industry. Why the fuck would you even mess with giving people prototypes of it?
I agree.
It makes absolutely no sense for either party, because why let them smoke it and love it, and it's not the cigar they're eventually going to get? Why let them smoke and hate it, and it's not the cigar they're eventually going to get? There's no upside to this other than a Marvin Shankin show.
The problem is they'll put that cigar in the hand, and people will say it's great because they had the fact to smoke it. No one's going to say this was a terrible cigar. That's. But I agree with you. I don't know why. I don't think there's anything to gain by doing that.
Listen to me. I got news for you. Anybody will tell you this. All right. I don't know how many people go to the Great Smoke, but no one's making 1,500 prototypes.
No.
Right.
Well, maybe Steve Saka.
Not even Steve Saka. 300 maybe.
Yeah.
But no one's making 1,500 prototypes. But this is once again the industry taking advantage of consumers who just don't think things through.
Yep.
It literally is.
In even fairness, I never get excited about be the first one to smoke a prototype thing. That never has excited me. I understand though people do get excited about that though. It just I've kind of been down this road before too, where I've seen it happen. It's underwhelming.
George did an event with us one year. I'm trying to think. Was it the 89 birthday cigar? I can't remember. No, it was before that, but we did an event with him. I think it was the 40th. I think it was the we celebrated their 40th with the humidors in my shop. And he's like, listen, how many people do you expect? I got like 200 of these Padron prototype short cigars, and they were real. And they had a card in there and whatever. But he's like, do you think you'll have more than like 220 people? That's what I have. Yeah, that's a prototype run. No one's making 1,500. So, and you got to remember, if they're having 1,500, I don't know, like I said, how many people go to the Big Smoke, but if they're having 1,500, they had to roll 100 for each, couple hundred for each company. Who's making 3,000 prototype cigars? It's just, it's absolutely silly. But they'll eat it up. They'll eat it up. They'll go down there and think they got something special and extraordinary.
Interesting. So anyway, back to what we were
sorry, tangent.
supposed to talk about. Tangent.
That escalated quickly.
NFTs in the cigar world. So I want to get from you guys, right? And you're starting with LaFleur, who essentially was the first guys to break out into this. Your first reaction and your first thoughts when you heard the news, and what you think of the success of it, and where do we go from here?
Okay, I want to chime in on this first. So, as a technology nerd, I love when I see the industry that I love in the modern world, because so much of the cigar industry is old school, and most of that is amazing and wonderful, and the thing that makes it as awesome as it is. But there are processes and things that the cigar industry could certainly use technology to help bring it into the modern world. And when they announced that, I reached out to Carney right away and was like, bro, this is fantastic. Now, I've been in the crypto world for a little while. I had read several things on NFTs. I don't, technology-wise, I understand it conceptually, but from a tangible standpoint, I still don't get it. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but I still applaud it. It was obviously a huge success. So my hat's off to the team at LFD that put that together and did something to bring cigars into the modern world.
Cool. Matt, somebody?
I look, we covered this very extensively this year.
First thoughts, raw thoughts when you heard it. Before you covered it, what was your... And Carney, you probably, not that you had inside baseball, but I'm sure you heard about it early on. First thoughts. This is crazy. This is cool. This is never going to work.
No, honestly, what I will say is when it was first presented to me, like this is exactly what it is, and this is how we're going to execute it. Because the first thing I thought of was United did it first with a classic no tangible NFT with their Abe Black NFT that they did, I think, 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I remember that was like cool, but I still didn't understand NFTs. So I'm like, I don't get it. Like, to me, it was like, okay, like nothing against them. Like, I just don't get it. Like, what is this? You're buying a digital file of an Abe that doesn't exist. Like, I didn't get it. So when LFD was like, we're going to do that, but it's going to come like with a fucking cigar that you actually get, and the artwork and a humidor and all this other stuff. I'm like, all right, so people actually get something out of it. And then and then they can continue to get something out of it indefinitely. It's like, well, that makes a lot of sense to me. So it's a very exclusive, limited asset, right? So to me, it was like, that makes a lot of sense and it's cool. Are people going to buy it? I was like, well, depending on what it goes for, I guess LFD is a big name. They've been around long enough. Using the Andalusian Bull platform, which everybody knows, everybody wants. You can't keep them in stock. Abe and Alex know that. So I'm like, this has potential. I think that this would be good. And as it continued to roll out, it was more and more like, oh shit, I think this is going to be a big deal. And it was. But again, I think it's because, you know, that whole tangible part of it is what makes it different than a regular NFT where you buy something that really has no physical presence. And, you know, who's to say that the value, you could pay X amount of dollars for it, and then that's all cool. And then 5 years later, it's worth like, you know, an eighth of what you paid for it. And it's just this file, you know. With this, you know, you're always going to be getting cigars from the factory that have a value that people want.
Right.
So it's kind of a no-brainer for me.
Coop, you're smiling away. Go ahead, Coop.
So I remember when I got this story, right? This is the honest truth. I'm not lying here.
Coop thought it was going to fail.
No. My first reaction, and he'll know why I'm saying this, is I can't wait to do this on the Scoop with Coop to see Abe's reaction, because there's a little history with this. Abe had a cryptocurrency guy on. I was in the studio that day, and it's the only guy Abe ever hung up on because he got so frustrated with this guy, right? So I'm like, this is so. And I remember when we did the Scoop with Coop, I don't think Abe was totally dumping on this whole thing, and I think, you know, as we were kind of talking about it, I think the wheels were spinning. However, I was in the Boston airport, and when he called me saying he was doing this, don't get me wrong, I was still completely shocked that that Abe was going to be getting in on this, considering that I remember that show. It's one of the all-time KMA moments. So, if you ever remember that.
All right. So, Abe, we've all seen the success of LaFleur. So we have a different perspective, and you have a different perspective here, because we are taking on the probably most unwanted task of anyone out there, is to be the second major to do it. You're muted. You're muted.
You're gonna be the guy to replace Tom Brady.
It's funny you say that, but I prefer being number two.
Do you? Because here's how I feel. Here's how I feel. Right. So LaFleur had huge success with it. We all saw that.
See, okay, so let me just.
But here's the thing. Let me get this out, because we had to. I feel like the future of cigar NFTs
resting on us.
It really rests on us, man.
Yep.
So let me just state this, and I want to clarify this. And I know I'm probably going to hurt Matt and his man crush John here. I don't look at LaFleur as successful. I might be the only person.
I'm not disagreeing, Abe.
I might be the only person, but banking a lot of money is not what makes it successful. If being successful is that they were able to sell $600,000 in NFT money, then yeah, okay, that was successful. But me as a retailer, I don't see it as that being successful. Now, what I will commend them for is having the balls and the vision to pave the way. Now, what I get the benefit from is to see all the things I feel they did absolutely wrong. And I get to make it better, which is exactly what we're doing. And unlike them, which most manufacturers believe they understand retailers, but unfortunately most of them don't, I have a perspective really that they don't have. I kind of understand, because I look at it, to me, this is the way I look at it. When I looked at the LaFleur package and the deal, it made no sense financially. Couldn't put pieces together, couldn't make the numbers work, couldn't do anything that said this had any real value to me or money I would want to invest after X amount of dollars. And it went way above that number. And I don't know, because I haven't really been watching it, but the fact that I really haven't been hearing too much of it, only what I caught on Coop's show the other day, I don't think that the guys who got the NFT have had success or that much success on the cigar side yet.
That's what I said.
Which for me says it wasn't successful. Now, if you're just looking at it from LaFleur's position, it was extremely successful. But I've never been that guy that wants to do something and not have success all the way to the end. So as a retailer, I have the perspective of saying, look, I'm with Garret. Don't understand NFTs. Don't get it. Still can't conceive of it. Why do I want a digital image? I don't. But what I do understand is cigars and the cigar business. So this was a great opportunity for us as a company. And here's the thing. You can't just do this with any brand. I was fortunate enough to have probably the most historic single store release cigar ever made. And I'll debate this with anybody. You know, for us to have had 3,000 15-count boxes, as little of the operation as we were there. I mean, I know what Steve Saka does for JR and those guys. It's not even close to those kind of numbers. So, and it was in Playboy magazine. And for the next 10 years, we still have people asking us for it. So we were fortunate enough to have a brand that's already had a history, not an unknown cigar. I mean, look, Coop said on his show, I would just go get an Andalusian Bull before I'd care to smoke a Golden Bull. The logic is not there.
Yeah.
The logic's not there. And sooner or later, consumers, they're if they haven't reached that point, they're going to reach that point. The logic's not there. So we have a product that's historically been sought after already for a decade. I got Pete excited. Pete's talking to me about this special box he's going to make. Maybe he's going to have compartments. And I mean, like, you know, Pete in this stage of the game, and I talk to him often, he doesn't get that excited anymore, but I see it. He's really kind of excited for this project. All right. Which is really cool. So we're going to have, what?
When do we get to announce the other stuff?
Listen, I don't want to shoot the load early. I mean, until we really, because we're tied to the production schedule right now. Everything else is ready to go. We worked with the other people, but we don't want to get it out there. But here's the thing, I was getting there. So we're going to create this pretty badass package. It's going to have 60 cigars in it. So for me, that's the value as a retailer, right? But we have, and then you're going to get so what I didn't like about La Flor is they all got the same. I mean, for me, that was absurd. You're supposedly buying art, but you all got the same art. Only thing that changed was a number. We have 7 unique pieces of art, and Alex will tell you it's kind of pretty badass art. We have so if you have the number 1 NFT, you're looking at something completely different than the guy who got the number 2 NFT. You know,
right? And the blends are different, right?
No,
it's 7 different blends.
No. Cigar. Listen. Cigar-wise, it's the Tatuaje Anarchy. It's the original Anarchy.
The original
Anarchy.
I mean LFD.
They are not 7 different blends.
No, they're not.
Matt?
No.
Yeah, no.
Same.
I don't know what I'm
Same.
talking about.
Same, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Sorry,
I didn't say anything.
Foul ball. So we're going to have this package, and then I'm going to make a canvas art because I believe the art that we commissioned to have be made is definitely wall worthy. Guys are going to want it. But more importantly now is we've created a real package. We have 2 major players in this industry. I can't announce it yet. International players. Alex is smacking the table. They are going to have the same art all incorporated in some accessory packaging. This is going to be an epic package because I'm a retailer.
We got Banksy design on the box.
I think I can know one already.
I'm a retailer. So this is going to be more than, and you're going to get one of one because they're creating the accessories to match that unique NFT art. So there are going to be 7 people who will have one of one. So this is a big project. And like I said, I get the benefit of watching La Flor go up the bat first. That's why I said I really, in this situation, don't mind. I mean, I didn't have the vision to think about doing this, but I tell you what, I saw everything I didn't like about the La Flor project. And at the end of the day, I'm a retailer, so I'm saying to myself, what are realistic numbers here? Now, up until what, Alex? Maybe about 4 years ago, we still had some original Anarchies floating in our rare and vintage room. And people were coming in and buying them, I think, for $20 and then selling them. I know for a fact because I saw it in Facebook groups, $40, $50, $60. So we know the Anarchy has already been sellable at the $40 to $50, $60 range. So we do the math. You know, we're not making up some mystery number. Hey, you can sell these for $200. It's ridiculous. So doing the math and reverse engineering everything, we've created something that has real value. That if I'm a retailer, it's like if you could remember back in the day when Pete would announce who the Lucky 13 was, right? And shops the phones would just start ringing because as soon as you'll have as a retail. I don't see this play being a consumer play. I mean, there could be just a guy out there who's a big Tatuaje fan and is going to dump it. But I see this totally as a retailer play because it'll give 7 retailers the opportunity to be the lucky 13 basically 4 times a year, which I think is badass. Now, Pete asked me, because, you know, I'm a scenario guy. Pete asked me, well, what happens if this thing completely fails and there's zero interest? I said, well, the absolute worst case scenario is I own 7 NFTs and I'm going to get 420 boxes of Anarchy every year, which I'm perfectly okay with too. Because that's a great cigar. I cannot get him to remake it. And now I found a way to commit Pete Johnson to making 420 boxes every year. So, you know, I'll get my allocated 60, but if this flops, then you know what? Me as a retailer, I know consumers are going to find me all over the country because if they want Anarchy, I got 420 boxes now every year I could sell them instead of chasing down a secondary market or looking for it. So I think ours is going to be very successful. I really do. I think we took the time to really think about the value for it to be successful for the people who own the NFTs. You know, I think one of the pieces that we have coming with this Anarchy package on its own can warrant a crazy price because you got a 1 of 1. So we really thought it out to make it different than LaFleur. And once I said, it's honestly thanks to LaFleur. I'm not putting LaFleur down. I mean, they are pioneers, and seldom do the first pioneers get the advantage of perspective. So I got to benefit by watching them and figuring out how to really make this work and have all 8 cylinders work, not just for us as a company and us as an organization and Tatuaje and the other guys involved, but to the end owners of the NFT. Because ultimately, for me, that's what makes it successful. If the end owners of the NFT are getting rocked every quarter and calls and they're blowing through their allocation, then in my mind, we've created something successful.
I just want to make a quick note before we go to break. There's a lot of folks out there that believe that they have an Anarchy. A lot of you folks probably have Anarchy Chaos, which was a 2019 release. There are very, very, very few original Tatuaje Anarchy out there in the wild, and most people aren't giving them up. The Chaos is not the same. It's not the same size as the original Anarchy. This is something that has not been seen in a long time. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it in a long time.
It was a unique shape. Pete had never made nothing with this shape. Yeah. It's kind of like a Solomon, but not a Solomon.
Right.
It's like a Toro and a Solomon had a baby.
Yeah. You know? The Chaos, if you have a Toro looking pigtail, that's a Chaos. The Anarchy is a unique shape.
It's still been 8 years probably since the last run of those, because I think 2015 you did a small run of those again.
16 he made 666 boxes.
Yeah, so there wasn't that many then.
No, not compared to the 3,000 in 2010.
Right. All right, folks. So we're going to take a quick break. Go ahead. No, go.
Real quick, just talking about Pete Johnson and artwork. He had some new canvas this last week.
I saw that.
Oh, wow, Faust. That's kind of cool.
That is cool.
Damn.
That is cool. So what do you got? You have what? You have that is who?
Stolen Throne.
I remember you had the Opus, and now we've added Pete. Yeah, we got plenty of room. I want an EADV. That's a nice one. I like the. It's kind of. I'm a shield kind of guy. All right, folks. We're going to take a quick break and come right back to you with more with these fine fellas. So see you in a few.
Phenomenal.
Honest Abe here from Smokin Cigars. It is that time of year again, the Great Smoke 2023 Mardi Gras Madness. If you're wondering why everybody last year was calling it the best cigar event in the country, it was evident the day tickets went on sale. VIP tickets sold out in one day. That's right. They are all gone. Don't message us. Don't PM us. I'm sorry. There's nothing we could do. but there are still plenty of general admission tickets and virtual tickets. Once again, we'll be offering this event virtually as well as live. So for those of you who can't make it down, you'll be able to enjoy the festivities from the comfort of your own home. Michael Herklotz, Kim Keeney, and Paul DeGracco will be returning to be your co-hosts for your virtual experience. Whether you're coming down live or going to be enjoying the event from the comfort of your own home, your ticket price includes this epic package. It's one of our greatest Great Smoke packages in the history of this event. Over $400 worth of product and great swag for the low cost of $165. If you're coming down live, you'll get your package the day of the event. If you order your virtual ticket, they'll start shipping weeks prior to the event in early March. For those of you coming down, we have 4 full epic days of fun. We start off with Drew Estate and Jonathan Drew. Thursday night, our headquarters here in Boynton Beach. Friday night, 2 events. Steve Saka here at headquarters, and Evan Darnell once again returns to host our pre-event dinner with the Red Meat Lovers Club. Going off the top this year. I've seen the menu. It'll be up on the site soon. Incredible dinner. And our feature host this year, Michael Herklotz of Ferio Tego Cigars, who's made a very special cigar, especially for those attending the pre-event dinner. Saturday morning, we are starting early with the first ever tailgate party being hosted by the distinguished ruffians and Erik Espinosa. There'll be a very special cigar made exclusively for that event for the first 100 attendees who go to the tailgate party. And of course, the main event will be Saturday afternoon. And then that night, after the main event, you can head back to our headquarters here, where we'll have the man himself, Boofy Matt Booth, Room 101 Cigars, capping it all off with a beautiful Sunday brunch once again before everybody goes home from what we hope will be another historically, epically fun weekend. Do not hesitate. Tickets are selling this year faster than ever. Go to www.thegreatsmoke.com and get your live general admission ticket, your virtual ticket if you're going to enjoy from home, and tickets for either the dinner or the brunch. Epic time. We can't wait to see you all there. The Great Smoke 2023. Mardi Gras Madness.
Romeo y Julieta Reserva Real is introducing a twisted love story and a twisted Toro. These cigars are an addition to the original Reserva Real line. What we've done is added a 2-wrapper combination, looking like a barber pole or a Dos Capas. Now the wrappers that they're using is an Ecuadorian and a Connecticut shade, giving it that wonderful hinted flavor notes of cream with a little bit of woodiness added to it. But the nice thing it does to it also is adds great depth into the flavor. The binder and the filler are still the same, using a Nicaraguan binder and a Dominican and Nicaraguan fillers. So you still get that wonderful array of what you know as a Reserva Real, but you've added some depth into it. Now the Twisted Love Story and the Twisted Toro are the only 2 sizes that'll be available in this line. This is a cigar that's iconic to the Reserva Real name, but giving it its just due in something that's fun and innovative. With that, go out and enjoy your own twisted love story.
Welcome back, folks. It's our 2022 year in review show, and I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret. So as you can see, Paul isn't here as usual lately, so that goes without saying. And Abe is actually doing the show from home. So what that means is I'm in control of all the buttons. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to hijack the show for 2 or 3 minutes with my man Garret, and we're going to talk some chess real quick, right? While nobody else can stop us.
Yes.
So, Garret. All right. Biggest story of the year. Magnus not playing?
Yep.
Or Hans Niemann? What's the bigger story?
I think the bigger story in the chess community is Magnus not playing, because this is truly unprecedented, where a champion, a world champion, has not defended their title for what I would consider to be legitimate reasons. The other would be Bobby Fischer in 1972, 73, elected to not defend his title because of craziness. But Magnus,
put it lightly,
completely.
Didn't somebody else die? Did Aliakin die? Somebody else died.
You're right. Yeah. I think Aliakin did die. Yeah. But Magnus is the first player to say, I'm just kind of done being, at that champion level. I want to focus on some other things in life. I'm still going to play chess. I'm still going to do a lot of tournaments, but I'm no longer going to defend the title. And interestingly enough, you have seen his play, I don't want to necessarily say decline, but you can tell he is not focused in playing at the champion level that he was prior to that.
So
decision.
here's what's interesting. First of all, Jay Davis, Magnus Carlsen is, in my opinion, the greatest chess player that ever lived.
Ever.
So here's what's interesting, and you and I have these conversations. We text back and forth. So there was a point in the Tata Steel chess tournament where Magnus basically dropped 3 in a row, 2 losses and a draw. And we said it doesn't look like he's got the championship fire anymore. He actually wound up finishing that tournament 3rd, which was a great comeback.
I know.
And he just knocked off Hikaru on a chess.com tournament. I think that he's more interested in rapid and blitz online play than he is in classical chess. I think it's just not the grind, and he doesn't want to deal with the grind.
Absolutely, but he proved for many years that no matter if it's classical chess or rapid, wherever he's putting his attention, he's the GOAT.
Right.
In my opinion, he has proved that.
Right. I agree. Absolutely. Now let me bring these other mere mortals back in. But before they bash us, I just want to point one thing out. Okay. Chess.com is the number 2 rated free app on the App Store. We are in the midst of a bigger chess boom than we were with the Queen's Gambit during the pandemic. Before you guys bash us for our chess talk. Now,
and real quick before we go into chess, I just want to give a shout out to my man Erik Bay, Black Star Line Cigars. He was gracious enough to let me come into his garage and smoking one of his Warwich cigars this morning from Chicago. So Chicago, born and bred, and puts out a damn good cigar, and he's a good friend, and grateful for him. So just wanted to give him a shout out.
Thanks for being a gracious host.
Thank you, Alex. I would have been fine with it, right? If you would have told me we were going to do the chess talks, I had a couple more minutes, with the bio break, So.
Listen,
so I got to do a quick run.
Let me tell you something, man. For you guys, the world of chess, the drama behind chess. I mean, I understand it's hard to watch a game unless you got to be a game nerd. You got to, like guys like me and Garret, we follow it. But the drama and listen. 99% of these guys are on the spectrum, right? They're huge introverts. They're huge divas. They're the most competitive people out there. Football, basketball, they are right up there with it. So the juice that comes out of chess, I mean, come on, we have Elon Musk tweeting about anal beads and cheating. I mean, chess is juicy, man. You guys are missing out. By the way, Garret, it's your move. I know I blundered a bishop, but I'm still in there.
I came back to chess.
Oh, I had. Yeah. I let just Garret because I know you're home and Paul's not here, so I just let Garret in.
Well, I guess we know who the nerdiest guys in the room are.
Oh, absolutely.
No lie detected.
I will say I have watched these two gentlemen play chess in person, and it is intense to watch. I mean, I'm not a chess guy, as Abe we talked about a couple weeks ago. I got scolded by Carney for not knowing how to play chess. But I will say, these two, I mean, it's intense.
I'll tell you what, I feel like, the first time I ever played Garret was at the Great Smokin, but I do feel like that my level of understanding of the game has really leveled up since a year ago. I put a lot of time in.
Significantly.
I appreciate that.
I'm from home today, so I don't have access to click on the comments. But I'm with Jay Davis. Oh my God, I'd rather discuss fast food with William Cooper than discuss chess.
No love. All right, so Abe, it's time to have a little fun. It's time to what is the term you use to test their musical acumen?
Musical acumen. See if they can Name That Jam, a fun segment sponsored by our good friends over at Alo Cigars. You got a big room though today, Alex. I mean, it's going to be hard to stump everybody here.
It is. I mean, listen, this is probably, we're going to see Coop again, but I'm telling you now, I'm saying it live on the air. Next show, I'm making 2 Name That Jams, one specifically for Coop, because Coop is on a streak right now, and I have to knock him off at some point. So here we go. You're going to get a few seconds of a song, and it is up to you guys to name that jam.
Ooh.
Coop didn't throw his hands up. I might be onto something.
I was gonna say before, all you gotta do is play some hip hop, and Coop will be like, I don't know what that is.
No, you'd be surprised, man. Coop, he spans the board.
This is a tough one.
Oh, I might be onto something. Yeah. Nobody. I'm gonna play it again.
Play it again.
Yeah, I had it.
What decade is that?
Yeah.
It's the 60s.
60s.
It's the 60s. It is the 60s.
That's what I was gonna say.
All right, so wait a minute. Nobody goes before Coop goes.
I got no clue.
All right, that's fine. Nobody says a word before Coop. Coop, any guesses? I'm jacked right now.
You got me. Yeah, you got me.
You're gonna be upset because it's an easy one.
It's like I've heard this too. This is what's getting me.
Yes. Matt Tabacco. Any guesses?
No.
I'm not looking at comments either, so that's why.
Garret.
Frankie Valli, baby.
There it is. Let's take it away.
You got me. You got me on that one.
You guys
I should have known that one. I'm a big Frankie Valli fan. I should have known that one.
Yes.
But it was the beat that threw me because I think of that song more with the vocals, but that was a good one.
I'm with Coop on that one.
So congratulations, Garret. You have successfully named that jam, and I want to congratulate myself with finally stumping Coop with a mainstream song, and I didn't even have to make a special one.
And I do know the 60s. That's the thing.
Of course.
I do know the 60s. Yeah.
All right. Well, I feel great about that.
Oh, good job.
I do too.
Big win for Alex.
That was big. Listen, man, we've been talking about it for weeks. We're gonna have to start making special ones for Coop. And this was mainstream. Number 1, 1962 Billboard charts. All right. So moving back into 2022, and let's talk about this for a little bit because this seems like this is also going to be a story for 2023. Price increases in 2022. And along with price increases, we have seen a plethora of really ultra premium price cigars being released in 2022 as well. Some of them being, we have the Year of the Rabbit, which the David Ave Zodiac is now up to $50. EPC released a $1,000 box, also in the Zodiac sphere. Foundation.
Does anybody know anyone who bought that box?
Which one?
I don't know, but if you want to, we
EPC?
have them on sale at Smokin.
I have the EPC box. We have it.
No, you didn't buy it.
It was procured.
Yeah, you didn't buy it.
It was procured.
I'm questioning if anyone took the chicken and bought that box. If we know, do anybody know anyone who bought that box? No, man. We bought what? 2 of them?
I think we bought 4, 2 for the vintage room, 2 for.
Yeah, we bought like a handful just to see, if anybody would come finding it. And I don't think we've sold a box yet. But we bought 2 of those Rocky Bala humidors, the 100-count humidors, or whatever. I didn't think anybody would buy one. Sure enough, they bought them. So you never know.
Yeah. So
we sold one online and we sold one in the store.
So, guys, as the guy who's pretty much responsible for the price increases here, I can tell you that in previous years, you know, I would do maybe 6, 8 companies. 2022 and even this year, it's basically everybody raising prices. What do you think?
Well, I'll tell you this. I'll start off the bat. I could tell you that Coop, what year was S-Chip?
2009, I want to say.
So in 2009, this industry was faced with an absurd tax. And it was the first time in my career I saw everybody in the industry just wigging out, you know, and because most of the industry, it went under the radar because they thought it was a 10-cent tax. They thought it was a typo. They didn't believe that was a tax that had a max cap of $10 a cigar. And they fought it, and they ended up settling at probably a reasonable, fair thing of the excise tax raised from 5 cents or 4.5, 5 cents to 41.5 cents. Not absurd. So I just want you to picture this. It was a 41-cent increase imposed to every single company in the cigar industry. And if I tell you how they were every single one of them, freaking out on how to handle it. I got a call from every manufacturer principal that I know. Everyone you could think of. Literally, you know, what do you think? What are they doing? Who's done what yet? You know, over 41 cents. And it wasn't 41 cents for them alone. It was everybody. So technically the playing field was still the same. And they freaked out about it. I think what's happened post-pandemic, and not just in our industry, across the universe, I think people were forced, for many reasons, to raise prices on stuff. Shortages, supply, you know, problems in, you know, production. And they got a glimpse of, hey, the consumers just take it. Want to make eggs $9 a carton? Fucking, I go to a fucking store, eggshells are still empty. It ain't stopping anybody from buying eggs. They'll bitch, but they're all buying eggs. So I think there's now a complete fearlessness of raising prices. They don't worry about it. You know, some may be taking advantage of it, but you know, we all know there's, in the last 3 years, everything in the universe has just gone up. But I don't think there's that fear anymore. I think the fear of, you know, can we get away with it? Will we lose? They just raise the prices. And I think that's what's going on. And unfortunately, I don't know where, when that stops. But, you know, it's a funny thing because I hear a lot of retailers complain when there's a price increase. I don't understand it. At the end of the day, a price increase affects two people ultimately. Well, I mean, other than Alex has got to go in and change a whole shitload of pricing, and the team's got to relabel a bunch of shit. I mean, that annoying part of price increasing, but ultimately, it affects two people. A price increase will affect the manufacturer and affect the consumer. Has no effect.
I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, who is that? Some guy just walked in the back door. Alex, like, go to fucking. You're a better man than me.
If you made it this far, go ahead.
Yeah, you're a better man than me. I would have sent his ass outside.
He's like, "Is this the strip club? This is the strip club, right?"
Yeah.
You
know, Abe, you're right on that.
I just want you to know there's a big sign, like it's printed on the door. Please enter from the please enter from the front. You know,
apparently it's not big enough.
No.
And we'll get to see this live, right? Will he try to exit through the back as well? So we'll see.
Probably
after he's done.
Probably, but I mean, look, if a manufacturer has to increase the price, it affects him in the sense that as a consumer, if I like your cigar, I'm paying $8 a cigar, and I like it. It's one of my favorites, and I enjoy it. But unfortunately, now that cigar has now become $8.75, $8.95, whatever, $9. I have two choices as a consumer. Either a box is going to cost me $20 more, and I'm going to be all right with it, or I'm going to see if I can discover other $8 cigars that I like. So, and look, there's so many cigars out there that, I never understood it. People shouldn't smoke beyond their budget. They really shouldn't. There's so many good cigars out there. You could find a quality, good cigar in almost every price range. You really can. I mean, we have an ad for Buffalo 10 that just scrolled in the first hour of our show. I think it's like really one of the best five. It's a $5.25? I don't even know what it is. $5 and something cents. It's fucking decent cigar, good cigar. I'll smoke it any day of the week. So, yeah, it just ultimately affects it. So I don't think it's going to change. I think it's going to keep coming. And now they're just brazen. I don't even think there's a concern about price changes if they come up.
Abe, that's a good point because I look at like traffic on my website and articles that generate conversation. And we put some of these price increases up. We don't go crazy over them. I never see anyone complain about these prices or push back on these price increases. There's no talk about it. So, I think you're right. I think there is a complacency to some extent that the manufacturers know they can do it.
And to Coop's point, I think that we kind of do the same thing. We'll put some out, but we don't put them all out, like Half Wheel does. But, if we get them, we'll put them out. But, they're also one of the lowest trafficked articles too, because I feel like people see them and it's just like, and they keep going. It's not like oh man, how bad is it going to be? It's like, just keep going.
Yeah, that's what I've seen.
Well,
I see the exact same thing, Matt.
It's basic economics. For whatever reason, and in this case, COVID and supply chain stuff caused a huge deficit in its supply and demand, and prices go up. You never see prices come back down. So it's really basic economics. And to Abe's, point.
There's one exception to that. There's one exception to that, Garret. When S-chip went into effect, somebody Perdomo lowered prices.
Perdomo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, made himself a hero. I really think that was probably one of the smartest strategic things he ever did.
Yep.
He made himself a hero. And I really think that helped catapult him to where he is today with Perdomo Army. I think he created the Perdomo Army that started that movement. Yeah. But you're right. He was the only guy who really didn't.
And he sold more cigars.
Cigars.
Garrett's here. Go ahead, Alex. I'm sorry.
No,
the point about lowering prices, it has happened with some companies and they'll announce it. But me as a media guy always has a skeptical eye when that happens. Like, well, there had to be something that had to give to do that. Are you getting the tobacco cheaper? Is the tobacco is good enough? You switch factories, and there's a lot of things that will play into that sometimes that's when a company does that, it's not because I think they're just trying to do it to be nice.
Look,
Perdomo's not in that category. Perdomo's not in that category. I'll make that clear.
Look, just like everything else, prices fluctuate. A lot of it changes, right? Now, restaurants, I go to the restaurant and the price on the menu are typically the same. Tomatoes might cost more this week. Ground beef might cost more this week. God knows we've seen the price of chicken wings go up to the price of filet mignon and go down to nothing again, But they don't really change their prices every time something fluctuates. They wait till they see there's a long-term thing. I think our industry's gotten to the point where they'll just change it. As soon as their cost goes up. Perfect example is I remember everybody bitching because the cost of a container was absurd. It like quintupled to get a container over here during the pandemic. So they're all freaking out saying, well, shit, man, and it cost me fucking 5 times more to bring a container over. Well, guess what's happened? The prices of containers have normalized. Now, they're not as cheap as they used to be, but it's gone down back to a normal level. You think anybody changed their price back? Not one.
Well, but we know that boxes and cellophane, labels, those have all of those have gone up, and they're not coming back down.
You're right. But how many price increases have we seen since the pandemic? Alex, you know better than me.
All of them.
Multiple times?
Yes. And it's interesting because it's, as again, the guy that does price increases, like even the ones I'm doing this year, I see some and I say, oh, that's reasonable. It's barely felt. And then I see others and I'm like, I wonder how that's going to work out.
Right.
I feel like the top guys, look, the Davidoff, people that buy Davidoff are going to buy Davidoff. The guys buying boxes of Davidoff for $1,000. If it's $1,030, they're not going to bat an eye. When the $10 stick becomes $12, that's kind of a heavy jump. So we'll see for certain companies. We'll see how that plays out. But you made me think of something. But you were talking about restaurants, and it made me. I'd like to get you guys' perspective on this. So when I go get my haircuts on Saturday, when I'm done, I usually stop at a deli down in Boca called Deli on Rye, and get myself a Red Russian. Great pastrami, corned beef, little cheese on it, coleslaw. So they've never raised prices, but then I noticed, like the last time I went, that in lieu of raising the price, no, not the service, the sandwich was half the sandwich. And I said to myself, I would have rather paid the extra $2-3 to get the sandwich that I'm used to getting than half the sandwich at the same price.
That's a wrong move. That's a bad business move, hands down.
I mean, it was literally
I think another factor in we will see, here's my prediction, in the next 2 years, we will see who's here to stay and who's not. There is a saturation, I believe, especially in the boutique world of cigars. We are spoiled for choice. There's a lot of great cigars out there right now. And in 2 years, I foresee a handful of companies dropping out of the race.
I agree with you. You'll see an exodus in 2025.
So here's the other side of this. You know, I don't know, but from my perspective, if you go back a few years, right, take away Davidoff and Padron, there's very few cigars that hit that like $30 range. Very few, right? Take away those two companies. We're seeing a big influx of that. Is there a sustainable market for the amount of really, I mean, you know, we have, you know, look, Mirabel has an $86 cigar, Plasencia $65, you know, even Foundation threw their $33 El Senator cigar in the hat. Is there a sustainable market for these? Like I said, I feel like a few years ago, outside of Padron and Davidoff, there weren't many.
So, Alex, here's my answer on that. If they were already over that $30 price point, and I'm going to use a good example of, and I kind of said this on Monday night, Davidoff year to Zodiac cigars, you could probably get away with it, right? Because those were already in that like uber ultra premium range. But I think if you're kind of pushing into that $20 mark, it's going to become less sustainable. Because I think once you start crossing into that $20 category, I think it just has a different perception.
I agree. Garret, you had a point?
So I know that about a year and a half ago, Davidoff required the majority of their retail partners to go all in on the Davidoff family of cigars from a facing standpoint. And I think there was a strategy by some companies to try and get into shops that was not a sustainable take on for them. You know, to bring in 46 facings of Davidoff Camacho and who am I forgetting?
Garret, you need to talk louder than the people in the background.
Okay, sorry.
There you go. Yeah, we can hear the guys behind you more than I can hear you.
Oh, my bad. So I just think that there were companies trying to take advantage of the Davidoff, you know, piece, and they're trying to get in on that. That's what I think is a big factor in some of these newer companies making a run at the retailers who dropped Davidoff.
Davidoff, there's nobody on a financial sense could look at what they're doing and say this is based on any kind of real cost issue, right? It's totally a marketing issue, and anybody who doesn't realize that, I mean, you look at what they've been doing with their annual drops with the Zodiac cigars and whatever. They're going up beyond any reasonable, fathomable reason of any real cost thing. And I think that's a model that if people try, listen, Davidoff is, so Padron and Fuente have built their legacies on a real heritage and history and family, generations, right? Legacy stuff. Davidoff has really locked in. I mean, just Zito Davidoff, who started the movement, but they've locked in themselves as a symbol of eliteness, right? This is a status. It's a status cigar. And when you have something that's a status, whether it's sneakers or jewelry or whatever, when you hit that level, you've accomplished. This is a status thing. They can get away with doing what they do with the pricing and stuff like that.
I agree, Abe, and I think specifically with Davidoff, they saw what like Cohiba did with the Cuban market, and I think they kind of internally said to themselves, "We play just as well in this space, if not better."
I agree.
Yeah, and I think that triggered a lot of their price increases, and I think in a lot of cases, that market they knew could sustain that. It's some of these other companies that don't necessarily play in the space with Davidoff. Those are the ones I don't think are going to be sustainable, because ultimately I think there's going to be a set of companies that are going to come out with some cigars that will eventually undercut that price.
When Habanos raised their prices last year as high as they did, that was the first thing that I thought of too. Like, they're not going to be the only ones. There's going to be more to follow, especially when you talk about brands that are on the international market, not just here. So, you look at Habanos, the only country that they're pretty much not in is here. So Davidoff being probably arguably the next brand below them on that scale, right away it's like, well, Davidoff's going to follow Habanos because they perform on that world scale. They're probably the closest competitor to Cuban cigars internationally, and they play in that market. They have similar price points. I see them going up, and then the question is, all right, so then who's after Davidoff? And I think you will see more of that, especially when you have these brands in that group, especially on a global scale, continue to go up and really go after that, ultra premium price point market.
Well, we shall see. All right, folks. So this will probably be our last topic, and this is the one, guys, like Abe and I need the most help on, and that's with the to do with FDA and tobacco bans and flavored tobacco bans. I know we've had some wins. Flavored tobacco has had a rough ride lately, but fill us in. I mean, you guys tend to be more educated than us on these subjects.
Well, Coop, you and I actually talked about this recently, kind of in depth. So one of the big takeaways was a lot of the FDA stuff, I think, is still kind of hanging in the balance with Judge Mehta's decision, which has been continuously pushed out because of so many other things that are taking, I think, more precedence down in Washington right now.
Yeah, apparently Mehta's been involved with a lot of the January 6th stuff, and he's been involved with it, according to Charlie, when I talked to Charlie Monday night on this, for a while. So it's not really a new thing that he's been involved with. But I think a lot of what PCA's strategy is, because we talked to Glenn and Josh last week, a lot of strategy they're going to do, like around things such as responsible marketing. They are waiting to see what Mehta's decision is before they kind of pivot to what they're going to put in place. So what they're trying to do is the judge obviously has ruled that the deeming rule is arbitrary and capricious. The question is, what remediation is the FDA going to have? Are they going to throw out the deeming rule entirely? Are they going to be forced to rewrite parts of this? That's really what the big questions are going to be right now. Flavored's another story. Flavored is kind of a separate track, but ultimately I think Flavored is going to be heading to the courts as well. So even if something comes out with flavored tobacco, it won't ban flavored tobacco this year. It will probably be a couple of years out, and that's going to give time for a court case to come in, and they'll go to court route because we've had the most success in the courts. So that's and maybe they'll hope this goes into Mehta's court again. I don't know, but that's, I think, what's going to happen.
Well, and I look at New York for a current study. We saw them in the last 18 months drop the moratorium on cigar lounges opening in New York City. And then a year and a half later, we see a proposition for a 95% tax on premium cigars. So two opposing viewpoints from cigars in the state of New York shows us a couple things. One, that there are people that are at least willing to listen to both sides, but also the fight is never going to be over. We are always going to continue to have to fight for this for the foreseeable future, that there'll be new lobbyists, new whatever to come and say that tobacco is bad in all forms. And I hope that the consumers continue to fight and talk to their representatives, but I don't see a united front right now for fighting.
Jay Davis, we had a whole like Philip of Macedon, Alexander thing. We had a thing going on, and I feel like our relationship is falling apart. Like right here, live on KMA, man. We had
hilarious.
We had a culture.
Jay is extra.
Culture, damn it.
Jay is being extra today.
We had a whole Philip of Macedon, Alexander the Great. We had a whole thing. We had a bond, and it's falling apart live.
I saw that comment. I can't click on it. I'm glad you clicked on it.
Yeah. Well, okay, the part that, and I mentioned this as well, Matt and I talked about this as well. I'm very worried about the whole advertising piece right now. And if they leave alone substantial equivalents and things and warning labels, I just have this feeling they're going to try to pivot to advertising. And that scares me in terms of what cigar company is going to be able to do to market, what retailers are going to be able to do to market, what cigar media is going to be able to broadcast. I have a lot of fear with this right now. And some of that stuff in the NASM study was very scary. So maybe they'll leave substantial equivalents alone, but I can see them pivoting to this other angle where they'll try to squeeze this industry another way, and they have the authority to do it. And I really hope that we're going to get ahead of the game with this right now, because flavored tobacco we got behind on the game. What we can argue, tobacco 21 we never got in the game, things like that. So now I think this is something they really need to start looking at now rather than later.
You're absolutely right. They're always going to find a way to weasel it. Because look, there are states now who've already banned menthol cigarettes, correct? So the logic is, why are you banning menthol cigarettes? What the fuck is menthol cigarettes anything different? Let's be real, man. Menthol cigarettes aren't attracting any kids. They know that shit right now. All right? They know exactly who smokes menthol cigarettes and why it's made and for what majority of the people, right? So it makes absolutely no sense. You say to yourself, who the fuck would waste their time? Because I'm going to tell you what it is. They sit there in rooms and they say, if we can get this win, the next step is all cigarettes. We need to get this little win. We're going to go in and we're going to fight that menthol is bad and it attracts kids. Because if we can get that blocked out, then we can go again, because it's opened the door. It's like breaking the dam open. And that's exactly what they do all day long.
Yep, that's exactly. And Abe, I don't know the cigarette market as much, but is menthol a big part of the cigarette market still? To me, it doesn't. Maybe I don't see it.
Absolutely.
So it still is. Okay.
Here's the thing: you can't tell what's menthol anymore.
That's kind of what I was going to say.
Most of the brands hide it. It's called something else, or it's this, or it's that, and now they have the ones that the tobacco is not treated menthol, but there's a menthol ball in the filter. So technically, it's still a normal cigarette, but when you crush the ball in the filter and light up, now it becomes a menthol cigarette. So,
Camel Crush.
The Camel Crush, and I think Marlboro has one called NXT or something like that.
Well, it's like look at Newport's, right? Newport's is just Newport.
Yeah, I know, but I'm going to tell you what. I'm shocked they still have the green packaging.
Yeah.
But look, the menthol cigarettes is predominantly smoked by the African American community. It's just a fact. Everybody knows it. And it's not attracting kids. And I just don't understand it. I don't understand it. Look, I smoke menthol cigarettes, so it's not solely, but it's the majority, and they know it. But that's what it ends up being. It ends up being a gateway for. This is why when I sat on the board, once again, another great board story. Sorry, Jay Davis. But when I sat on the board, there was a room full of people. They wanted to pass at the time what was called the Jenkins Act. And the Jenkins Act would have affected interstate commerce, right? And because the board was a lot of relics at the time, you know, these guys, they all looked at JR and said, like, they're our enemy and whatever, and we need to shut this down. And I'm sitting back here thinking, do you not understand that backing any legislation, you're just opening up? They wanted to come out as a trade association and say, they wanted to endorse the regulation. You want to endorse something that's going to regulate and prohibit from how our product that we sell is transported? You know, you may not ship or sell online today, but you might in 3 or 4 years. You know, if you wise up and figure out, you know, why would you endorse that? You know, but they don't see it because that's the gateway. That's how the bans start. They find a way to weasel in that something. What we like to call it. It's an easier fight. They pick the easier fights so that when they want to get to their real end game of the situation, they've already got a foothold in it, and that's what happens.
Low hanging fruit.
Low hanging fruit.
You know, and to Coop's point earlier with the advertising, I mean, like, look at, you know, in the cigarette world, you know, we don't have the Marlboro Man anymore. We don't have Joe Camel. You can't. There's no more Winston Cup series. All that advertising is gone. So, I mean, it's not like it hasn't been done. Tobacco advertising stuff that's been banned.
Oh, completely.
So yeah, I mean, to Coop's point, I mean, you know, some of this already does exist in the tobacco industry, so it's not far fetched either.
Yeah, but you look at what they went after, for example, in the NASM report, right, Matt? I agree with you on this, but look at what they went after. Carlito Fuente's ad, right?
Birthplace of a Dream.
Yep, and the Barn Smoker was, I think, it was a Savage Feast.
Yeah.
So, you know, and then these anti-tobacco people, they twist it into something. Look what they're doing here. You know, this magazine's available to everyone on a plane and stuff. Yeah.
With the Drew Estate thing, they were like, well, they're, you know, Drew Estate, Swisher International, they have this big event that they're promoting with, you know, DJs and stuff like that appeals to kids because kids want to go to a party with a DJ and a band and, like, you know, like a rave kind of thing. That's something that young people like. So they're trying to appeal to kids, like, oh, come to like a big, you know, show Performance, and then, like, we'll give you cigars. And it's like that's not like what it is, though. But that's the narrative that they're trying to create.
Yeah, they don't look at the part of the age verification, which is probably already in place with that. So, you know, they don't look at
And by that logic, I mean, the Great Smoke.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, that's, someone could take the Great Smoke and be like, oh, there's this retailer in Florida that's got this big event and they do all these things. Like, special people come, and it's like, which it's not, that's what it is, but that's the same thing.
How does that logic not work for every nightclub in America? It serves liquor, right?
Right.
Oh, kids don't want to go to a nightclub with the rock and music, right? And they're going to be served alcohol. I mean,
yeah,
it's mind blowing.
The problem is there's groups that want to prohibit, they want prohibition for tobacco. The alcohol's not really facing that in this day and age right now. They had their time when they were facing that. That's the difference. And it's unfortunate that that's the difference for us, but that's the reality.
True.
Real quick on this. Before we get to the news, Coop, you got some news for us this week?
I got a couple of items. Yeah, it's not a huge week.
But this is totally off topic, but I just need to get some help from you guys to make sure I'm not fucking retarded, which I very well may be. This is totally off topic. But while we were talking, Super Bowl's tomorrow. I'm heading over to Italo's house from shipping kids. We're gonna get some wings and shit. But I just need your help here, and tell me, because I could be crazy, right? And we're looking to get some wings, right? Now, I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but for 25 wings, right, it's $32.95. Can you tell me what 33 plus 33 is?
66.
Okay, so why the fuck would I spend $73.99 on 50 wings and not just order 225s? I mean,
you would think that the more you buy, the less it is, you know?
There are people that just don't read their own shit.
I mean, I wonder if I'm going to have to go argue with these people now when I go over after the show and try to order 225s. I just ordered 2 different flavors.
And if you really want to flex, you can get 100 wings for $150.
Anyway, let's take it to our favorite intro song, The Scoop with Coop.
Hey, yo, what's my theme music?
The Scoop with Coop. Breaking industry news. Hear it first on KMA Talk Radio and cigar-coop.com.
All right, Coop, it's your time to shine. What do we got?
All right, so I got 3 items. One is not product related, and then I'll talk about 2 product releases. This is kind of dovetailing on what we just talked about. Last week we talked about the CDC survey on where they surveyed folks, and it was said that people favored a ban of tobacco. It was
57% would prohibit tobacco.
57%. Give the PCA credit. They did issue a pretty swift response on this week. And really what they did is they kind of really poked holes into the data that was in there, the way the data was presented, that it had influenced people in a certain way. And also saying that the survey was more politically based and not really in the interest of public health. So they did issue a pretty lengthy statement this week. I don't want to say it was a press release. It was more like a lengthy statement where they basically poked a lot of holes into that this week. So that came out on Tuesday.
Coop, I just got to say that close-up of you, I just realized for the first time during this whole broadcast the hat you're wearing, man.
Oh, it's great. I love this yellow hat. Yeah.
I didn't realize that. That's right.
That's right here too.
Yeah, so some of our friends got packages a little early, so you guys can get to see some of the goods.
Yeah,
that we have in store for you.
Yeah, I'll post some pictures up of that. By the way, great job on the package, I got to say. And the cigars, again, I mean, these are unbelievable cigars in there.
Awesome stuff.
Listen to me. I'm telling you, Alex and I sit in the office and we talk about this. We are mind-boggled how virtual sales haven't sold out yet, especially when we look at last year, how it sold out so fast and we had to add more. Because the value's there, right? It's over $400 worth of shit. I mean, what you get for $165, here's a funny thing, and you guys can tell me what you think. If Alex and I had made an ad and said, we have a 32 cigar sampler for you. Here are the samplers, and it's $400. Well, it's $357, I think, worth of stuff. And you're going to get this sampler for only $165. And we're going to send you all this swag. I think it would have sold out. I don't know if the TGS part throws people off or they don't, I don't know. But we're because every other aspect of the Great Smoke is like crushed last year. Like not a slight increase, not whatever, it's crushed. So I don't know. We're starting to wonder whether there'll be a calling for virtual like we thought it would be. Like we thought this would last forever and continually grow. I'm committed to doing one more year of virtual. No matter what. So there will be a virtual in 2024. But if the trend continues, I think it's just going to tell us that the desire to, no matter how good we make it, how nice it is, the desire to participate virtually and get a virtual ticket is not there like we thought it was.
Dude, this bottle opener is badass. Can I just
show that one.
Look at that.
That's heavy duty, bro.
Dude, it is. You could take someone out with this.
I mean, I messaged both Alex and Abe, and I'm like, guys, this was like a home run here. Thanks for sending this because, it's like I said, the swag is just a bonus, but those cigars alone, I mean, these are not like, how can I put it? These are not things you'll see in a bargain bin by any means. These are premium cigars you're going to get.
This year, I think Alex knows better than I do. There's three things that they're actually releasing at the Great Smoke. So, their first debut as a national brand will be at the Great Smoke.
Yeah, I know McAuliffe's got something. Yeah.
McAuliffe has, I believe it's the Leyenda Toro.
Yep.
Releasing first at TGS. Island Gym, the new Island Gym Connecticut, releasing first. First time you're going to get your hands on it and be able to purchase it is at TGS. And in the TGS store. It's also in your package. We also have the
Ghost Connecticut.
The Gurkha Ghost Connecticut, brand new cigar coming first at TGS, and something you guys haven't seen yet. You didn't get in your pack, but there will be available a limited edition TGS 2023 Mardi Gras Madness Woody. So
Oscar Woody.
That's pretty cool. Yes, the Oscar Woody, the monster.
That's like a 10 by 60 or something like 10.
Yes,
20 by 60.
And let me tell you, Coop, we cannot keep the normal Woody in stock. It is an anomaly. I don't know.
This packaging and the art on this box is so wild. I totally see a bunch of people going to be walking around with Woodies at the event of the Great Smoke. It's going to be insane.
Absolutely. So what else you got, Coop?
Well, I guess we're going to call this maybe our mini segment, the STG release of the week. We have the STG release of the week. It is from Diesel Cigars, and it is called the Simple Fool.
Oh, my gosh.
It is part of a trilogy of cigars, the Diesel Fool's Errand series, which you could this is the second installment of the trilogy. They're doing like a 3-year run of these. And this is kind of interesting because they did this last year. There's like an interactive component to this. So inside you'll get a tarot card, and the tarot card contains a QR code. And if you click on that QR code, it launches like an interactive game. And I guess you go and you solve a series of riddles, and you can win some prizes there. So if that's something that excites you, then go do that. But the cigar itself, it's going to be a short figurado. Looks very much like the Warhead 6 size, by the way. But that's not a surprise because Warhead 6 was made out of AJ's factory, and this also comes out of AJ's factory as well. So, and the cigars are going to go for a decent price, $9.99 a cigar. So they will be hitting the stores in March. So
look out for next week for
STG's
next release.
Yeah, next release. We are actually very closely tracking their pace this year to see if they beat the 59 releases. So
that might have been the comment of the show right there, our new mini segment.
Free advertising I just gave them, by the way.
All right. What else you got, Coop?
Last story comes from Crowned Heads. Crowned Heads is very much known with their core lines of doing limited sizes, one-off shoots once a year. This year, what was that?
Fly.
I didn't catch that.
Sorry.
Okay. That was for the house.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, no. So this year, Le Carême is getting a limited edition size in the form of a 4x54 short Robusto called Pastelitos. And Crowned Heads has also had a lot of success with these short Robustos. They've done them in other sizes in the past. I know they did it with Juarez, and I think they did it with Jericho Hill, La Imperiosa. So now they have one for the Le Carême line. It's a line that comes out of Ernesto Perez Carrillo's factory. Le Carême is normally a box press series, but this limited is a rounded Parejo. These should also be hitting the stores next month. They'll come in 24 count boxes with a 30,000 cigar run, priced at kind of a little steep. The price is $12.95 for a short Robusto. So you expect to see that one. And Crowned Head usually does well with these limited one-offs. So I probably expect them to sell out.
Yeah, they do a lot. They do a lot of one-offs, and they all seem to do well. So.
Yeah, they do. I think they do. Like they've done the Bellicosas Finos in this size, which was actually a great size of the like Carême. So this year they went with the short Robusto.
All right. Well,
that's your news for this week.
That's your news for this week. Do it.
Yeah.
Do it, Abe. You do it. All right, I'll do it. For more news, visit cigar-coop.com. I think that was close to what Abe does. I know I got the website right.
Yep, you did.
This was a fun show.
Yeah, it was.
I actually had a really good time, man.
We've talked about doing these more, but yeah, this was a lot of fun.
Spectacular.
It's just cool to hear everybody's different perspective. You know, we get so caught up in what we think in our own. It's kind of nice to hear other people what their thoughts are.
Yeah.
Well, anybody got anything going on this weekend other than the Super Bowl? You guys already talked about your big game plans. Did I show up late?
No, we just talked about picks.
In the beginning of the show? Anybody doing anything big?
Absolutely not. I'm watching from home.
Well, we're doing the pregame show and the halftime show tomorrow with John Carney.
Podcast?
Yeah, we'll do live.
Wow.
Yeah, so it'll be Carney telling everyone why he feels a certain way about whoever's going to win, and then being like, well, we'll see what happens.
Carney's good, man. Carney's
no, he's good though.
He's good with his predictions and stuff. Yeah.
But no, it would be me and Carney and possibly Coop. I don't know if Coop has been invited. I don't know if he's still coming, but so there you have it. We'll get on there. Pre-game show and halftime show. We'll go live and we'll talk about the Super Bowl.
Well, gentlemen, I really want to thank everybody for joining us on this Saturday morning. Alex, thank you for kind of handling the helm today, as I had some issues to come in late. But it was a fun Saturday morning. We hope you enjoyed it. It's the best way to start your Saturdays. Please follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and check out our private Facebook group, Smokin Social. Great place to be. Everybody, until next week. Keep it lit.
Quick, Abe, before you go, I just want to take I'm sorry. I just want to take a moment real quick because I appreciate these guys coming on. Real quick, 1, 2, 3. Tell, because you never know who's listening, may not have heard. Tell real quick, Coop, where can people find you?
Cigar-coop.com. You'll get access to everything, news, reviews, and all of our podcast info.
Matt?
SmokinTobacco.com. Same thing, news, reviews, all of our podcast info, and updates on our Cigar Family Charitable Foundation raffle, which goes live March 17th at 9 a.m.
Come on.
How about that cigar.com? We go live every Monday night, 8:30 Central, which would be 9:30 Eastern. I figured out how time zones work today. And we do an interview show and cast simultaneously to Facebook and YouTube.
Thank you, gentlemen. All right.
Well done, Alex. Sign us off.
Well, thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and keep it lit. Peace.